Oh, hello, and welcome back to Lewis Talk City yet again today. I've gone through a pattern of not streaming and then streaming consistently. Back again just to talk about a few bits of news that came out today. To do with Ayyoub Bouaddi, Rodri, Jack Grealish, and then some quotes from Oliver Glasner about Elliot Anderson. First thing I wanted to talk about was this news that dropped at 1:57 p.m. Manchester City have stepped up their pursuit of Ayyoub Bouaddi with negotiations particularly intense between Etihad Stadium executives and Lille to find common ground on a transfer. Discussions are also underway between Man City and the player's entourage. So this leads on to the next bits of news. But when this came out, I made a thumbnail of just Ayyoub Bouaddi saying deal to City getting closer. And it it does feel like this transfer will get done. There's more news after this bit, but it does feel that Ayub Bawadi to City will be done. City really want the player. City really like the player. They're willing to pay a certain amount, but at the same time, they don't want to lose out to any other clubs. So are trying to pay the right amount, but at the same time, still trying to limit it a little. But I can see this one going through, to be fair. Defensive midfielder, Rodri could be leaving. If Rodri leaves, maybe he's the backup with Nico Gonzalez, as I spoke about earlier today. So, you know, Fab then posted out Man City are confident to get deal done by Bouaddi in the next days. Negotiations are accelerating as reported on Monday, and MCFC increasingly optimistic. Bouaddi to join now or in 2027 could also depend on exits, including Rodri's situation. Now, I did, I think it was, yeah, on my Facebook, I'd put a post out ages ago saying that if Kovacic, Reinders, Nico Gonzalez, or Rodri, if two of those four leave, then Boadi could come to City and stay for the season. If none of them leave, then that means that Boadi is more likely to be loaned out for a year. Also, depending on the price, as we've said before, if the price is too much or comes down to being 100 million, don't expect him to be there next season. If it's 80, 70, 90 million, then expect that maybe he will stay there for a year. But personally, I think that Kovacic will go, and I think that another midfielder will go. And I don't know if that's going to be Nico G, Tijani Reinders, or Rodri. If I had to say who I think it is the most, I'd probably either say Tijani Reinders or Rodri. But at the same time, you've got the likes of Nico G, who's not happy with game time. Kovacic, who barely got any minutes because he was injured, so where does he see himself fit into the squad if we bring in too many midfielders? And also Rodri, who really likes the idea of going back to his home country and playing for Real Madrid. So I think if any of them leave, Kovacic, Reinders, Nico G, or Rodri, if two of those four leave, I'd expect Bouaddi to come in. To be fair, if you get rid of Kovacic, does it really matter? Probably not, because if you get rid of Kovacic, what you can do is you can go, well, he didn't have that many minutes, so replacing him, you don't really need to do. Whereas if you're getting rid of a couple of them, say Nico Gonzalez and Kovacic, you've got to look at who's covering the minutes that Nico Gonzalez got earlier on. Is that going to be Anderson? Is that going to be Bouardi? Is it going to be Rodri? Who's taking those minutes that when he played at the start of the season, who's taking them? If Rodri leaves, you've got to look at a player, say, is it Nico Gonzalez and Ayub Bouaddi, who can sort of rotate between the two to see what is actually going to happen. Because if Rodri leaves, that's a big problem. And Bouaddi, in my opinion, is a good player, good talent, but he's not up there to replace him yet. Nico Gonzalez, good player, good talent, not there to replace him yet. So we still need someone with experience. Does Elliot Anderson take that role of experience, even though he just came into the club? What happens in the midfield? Do we keep Kovacic and that's experience and a player that can play quite a bit if he doesn't get injured? That's what City need to work out. But yeah, the um exits, I can see two leaving. I don't know which two, but out of those four, I can see two of those midfielders leaving and Bouaddi coming in. Ayyoub Bouaddi has agreed to a Man City contract until 2031, according to Sacha Tavalieri. Lille continue to target the €100 million mark for the midfielder's transfer fee, while Man City want to finalise a deal worth around 90 million with fixed plus potential bonuses. So he's agreed a deal till 2031. Now it's just the club side that need to agree. Man City and Lille need to agree on a deal. Did they go for 90 million with fixed bonuses? Did they go for 100 million? That's what we need to work out. And if he does, if we sign him for 90 million, do we keep him there for a year? Because I still, for 90 million euros, which is what, 82 million pounds, it's still a lot to be signing a player and then sending them out on loan. What happens if he gets injured? What happens if next season he plays terrible? You know, and then the season after he comes back and it's like an Echeverry thing where you go somewhere, you play terrible, and then you come back and you look at it and you're like, why do we let him go? You know, Echeverry was more his agent, but yeah, what's the point of keeping him at Lille? Think about it. If Rodri goes, not this season, but next, if Rodri leaves, then the big question is if he does go next season, not this season, next season, and we send out Bouaddi on loan, who's going to take that role? Because Bouaddi's not getting taught by Rodri. Would it be Nico G? Would it be someone else we bring in? A random midfielder that we bring in? Are we going to go in for Bruno G? Try that, get that done before Arsenal get it done? Are we going to go in for another midfielder? Because if you're going to send him out on loan, and then Rodri leaves not this season but next, then who's going to be able to take that role? It's like if Bouaddi was to come in for Rodri this season, I personally can't see him being able to do that role straight away because it takes time. But here's the question: do we even need that role? Because the way we play changed last season. I know that Pep Linders and Pep Guardiola are gone, but we didn't really play that build up from the back ish all the time. At times we were playing like a front four, front five, and it would just get to him quickly and get the ball up quickly, and then there you go. We've got the likes of Donnarumma. Edison used to be able to play with his feet, where with the ball at his feet, whereas Donnarumma can't. Josko Vardiol is a really good ball playing centre back, but other players just aren't. So is City shifting away from that? But with Maresca's tactics, he does like to play with the ball at his feet, keep possession, and things like that. So that's a big thing. But I'd personally say that if we do get him, we shouldn't send him out on loan because he can learn from Rodri. He can play loads of games, I'm sure, and that's something we need to look at. Man City preferred to keep Rodri even if he fails to sign a new contract. However, the arrival of Ayyoub Bouaddi or another midfielder could allow for a sale. Man City value Rodri at significantly more than the reported numbers of 50 million euros. So, this is from Ben Jacobs. City preferred to keep Rodri. I think we all knew that. City are happy to sell if they get the right amount, but if they don't, then they're not happy to sell him. Even if he fails to sign a new contract. So there's still doubt that he signs a new contract. So City are happy enough to keep him for one more year and say, you try win us the league, and then you can leave at the end of the season. The arrival of Ayyoub Bouaddi or another midfielder could allow for a sale. So, as I said before, if Ayyoub Bouaddi comes in, maybe Rodri goes. You see, I think that, as I said, it's going to be those four midfielders that you look at: TG Reinders, Kovacic, Nico Gonzalez, Rodri. If two out of them four leave, then Ayyoub Bouaddi should be in the team. So if Rodri leaves, Ayyoub Bouaddi can come in. So, it's one of them that if players are leaving quickly, trying to get out of the club because they want to go back home or things like that. Like Nico Gonzalez and his girlfriend are not too happy staying in Manchester, and he wants more game time. Then Bouaddi will come in and be able to play straight away. It's just how good is he at knowing certain roles? Man City value Rodri at significantly more than 50 million euros. I feel like everyone knows this. You know, um, I think everyone can tell you that he's worth more than 50 million euros, 42.8 million pounds. When you look at it, they said over 50 million, but that could mean they're going to go to 55 million euros. If that happens, don't sell him. Do not sell him. If they say 60 million euros, 52.8 million pounds, don't sell him. What you need to do is look at what he's worth, look at what he can give us if he stays one more year, because he's still contracted with us. So if he stays one more year and you tell him, look, Rodri, we know you want to leave. We need you for one more season. Just stay for one more year and then you can go. But don't be one of those that just sits on the bench and says, oh, I'm injured just because you want to leave and not get injured in the process. No decisions have been made about where Jack Grealish might be playing next season. Everton are interested in another loan from Manchester City, while there have also been tentative inquiries from other clubs in the Premier League, MLS, and Saudi Arabia. Manchester City don't really want to loan Jack Grealish out because of the wages and that, and still being on the books. That's not really what they're looking for. They're looking for someone to buy him. Everton only really want to loan him because they don't want to buy him and have to pay extortionate amount. Um, Other clubs, I mean, Saudi Arabia, they'd probably pay his wages. They probably would. Premier League, don't know what teams that would be. They would be, but maybe you could find someone to pay it. MLS, yeah, I can see it, but not as much as Saudi. I think with Jack Grealish, it's a bit of a disappointing one for him personally. He went to Everton, did well, and then got injured. And coming off the back of that injury, he now can't go to pre-season because he's still recovering. So it's one of them that you look at and you go, he's still recovering from injury. He's still struggling, but this was meant to be sort of a showcase of Jack Grealish and sort of saying like, oh yeah, you can sign him. Look at what he showcases. Look at his qualities. And we failed to do that because of the injury. Jack was good. Jack was brilliant in the treble season, actually. He played a key part in it. But, it's one of them where you're never going to get as much as you paid for him. We paid 100 mil. He's getting older and older, and we did get our worth out of it. Just sell him to someone now, in my personal opinion. People keep saying give him another chance, but I don't feel like every player will be given another chance. I don't think you look at Tijani, Rodri, Nico G, Kovacic, Savinho, Marmoush, and they'll all be given clean slates and new chances. Because what you have to remember is Maresca's been watching this squad for ages, constantly watching the squad for ages. He didn't come in after he'd left Chelsea in what, January? He had the meeting with us in December. He didn't leave Chelsea in January and just go, actually, you know what? I'm going to chill at home now, do nothing, just sitting there watching movies and films. He was there looking at the players. A couple weeks before, I think it was a couple weeks before May, he pitched up at the training ground and was chatting to Pep. It's one of them that you look at and you go, he would have looked at these players. He would have behind the scenes said things about these players. He would have chosen who may be starting for him, where best positions are, the likes of Nico O'Reilly. We know that Donnarumma has been told that he's his first choice. How long has Enzo Maresca had Donnarumma as his first choice in his mind for? That's what I'd like to know. Has it been that for what, a year he's been looking at that job, and then the past what, 4 months he's gone, actually, I think Donnarumma, Donnarumma could be key. Like how long has he thought? Oh yeah, Donnarumma is a player that needs to be in my starting 11. You know, that's what I'm wondering. But these players aren't going to be given clean slates. You know, not all of them will be. Big up to my one viewer that's watching. Big up to you. Um, best I've ever had when live streaming. Um, but yeah, it's one of these that you just sort of look at it, and go. You got Premier League teams, MLS, and Saudi Arabia. Is it just best to sell him off for a bit of cash, or what? Oh, just big up, by the way, to the viewer. If you want to, you can type a message in the chat, and I'll read it out, as long as it's not abusive or anything. But yeah, it's just one of them that you look at and you sort of give your head a wobble when people say give everyone a new chance, because yeah, it'd be nice to give some players a new chance, but if you do that, you'll be at the same position you were last season, and you may not even win the league again. And then everyone will be turning around going, why did we give Savio another chance? Why did we give Omar another chance? I hated that we gave Jack another chance because he got injured on game week 7 and wasn't available till game week 26, you know. And it's like you can't give everyone another chance, you know. And I wish the best for the players that leave, like James Trafford. I wish the best for him. To be fair, I wouldn't have minded him staying as the backup goalkeeper, but if he doesn't want to be here, then he doesn't want to be here. You know, Rodri doesn't want to be here, so Rodri can go if he's happy with that. Personally, I'd keep him for another year, but if he's at the point where he's throwing a strop and saying, "Oh, I want to leave the club," then let him leave. You know. Um, but yeah, Everton are interested. It would be a nice one to have a look to see if they get him loaned back, which City don't really want to do because you've still got to think about the wages and other things. Premier League teams are interested. Maybe return to Villa. I don't know. They've just signed Garnacho, haven't they? Um, MLS and Saudi Arabia. I can see him going Saudi personally, getting the bag. But does he even want to live out in Saudi Arabia? Some players don't want to. Like he looks likes of James Trafford. He stayed up north. He's at Leeds, so you know he did have interest from Newcastle. They thought that they were paying too much. So then he had interest from Leeds and Aston Villa. He didn't want to go to Villa, so he stayed up at Leeds. So it's just one of those things, you know. Whereas, where does he want to go? Does he want to earn loads of money? Would he prefer to just play football? What is his kind of aims and ambitions going forward? This one was a bit weird. Oliver Glasner on whether Nottingham Forest Football Club were ever close to keeping Elliot Anderson. No, no, it was decided he will leave, and I think that's what we have to accept. And we are not at the end of the food chain. We are not at the end of the food chain in football. So basically, he said he got food chained. He said that the club got food chained, and it's one that I look at and I go, he's talking facts. Nottingham Forest, where they are positionally, the money they can offer, and the amount of fans worldwide, global things, all goes into how much you can offer a player. But, you know, no disrespect to them, they're not at the level of a massive, massive club. You know, um, it's one of them that you look at and you go, Elliot Anderson wanted the next step up, and the next step up was a big team. He was what, their best player since what, 1980, would we say? And looking at it, they got a good price for him. They got 116 million. Some fans will complain because they sold their best player, which they have the right to. But Marinakis can say, "Oh, well, I tried my best. I put him at 116 million. If I put a price tag like that, and that was at that time, it was the most ever spent on an English player. You could bring in 2, 3 players for him. You could bring in a good DM, a striker, and a keeper or whatever." With the 116 million. I know that now it's like everyone's going for 116, 115, but you can find hidden gems that don't go for that much. Look at Jeremy Monga. He's a player that the thing with Jeremy Monga is, who went from Leicester to City, is that he is a player that give him time and he can actually do something, and that's what maybe people should be looking at instead of all these big, massive names that are going for 115, 130, 117. Look at the players that are going for like 30 and below. Just at some, not everything. Don't do a Chelsea model where you go either people that are about 59 years of age or people that are about 10 years of age. Don't do that. What you should do is you should go for players that are 20 or younger, but minimize them. Don't go for too many of them. Go for like two, three at a max, and just try and progress those players, make them better, and then move them on in the future if you want or if they want to leave. But that's what Brighton kind of do. They find these hidden talents that no one knows about, and then from then on, they just make them brilliant. And that's what you need to look at when choosing who to bring in, because you don't want to just spend 160 million on one midfielder just to replace Anderson, because that will maybe in that position make it better or the same, but throughout the whole squad you could have had so many upgrades with different players. And I know that's difficult because now everyone wants the big names. They want the Bruno G, they want the Tonali who's gone to Spurs, they want the Ayyoub Bouaddi, they want the Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. But look at those players that are a level down, a step down, where you can look at them and you can go, if I buy him for 30 mil, in 2 years' time, I can, because of the players that I've got in my team and the people around them, I can make them better. And I may sell them on, or I may just keep them because of how good they are. You look at Gibbs White. Gibbs White would be a perfect role model to a midfielder that's coming into Nottingham Forest. But back to the food chain thing. They did get food chained. I don't really like this saying because I feel like it's going to happen to everyone in the future. Look at like City with Rodri. If he goes for about 50 million, we're going to get food chained and that. But it's just one of them where you just look at it and you go that he left Nottingham Forest. He's taken the step up, and yes, that means that Forest will be out without one of their best players last season. But at the same time, you can look at it going forward and say, look what Forest have achieved with Elliot Anderson. Brought him from Newcastle, made him 10 times the player he was, and then sold him on. So it's just one of those where they have made a profit, but not everything's about profits. But they've got Glasner coming in. He's a good manager. I respect Glasner. I think what he did at Palace was brilliant. So think about what he did with Palace. They won the Europa Conference League, the Community Shield, and the FA Cup. You know, um, but yeah, it's just brilliant the way that Glasner manages. And I think if you do give him some players that aren't pricey, like 160 mil, but like 30, 40 mil, he can make those players better. And so can people around the team. But yeah, so Elliot Anderson decided he wants to make that step up, obviously. And then from there, he then went and left their football club. So, I bet they wish him the best and just there you go. So that sums it up basically. So Rodri, City would like to keep, but if Bouaddi comes in and someone else, maybe he can go. You've got the likes of Ayyoub Bouaddi, who, as I said, is coming in by the looks of it. And then you've also got Elliot Anderson, who left Forest, and now the manager's saying that they're below the pecking order. And Grealish, who I would like to get rid of because I just feel that at the moment he doesn't have a spot in this team because of the players we got: Tijani Reinders, Phil Foden, Cherky. If you're going to play him in the midfield, Nico O'Reilly could play as the attacking midfielder. On the wing, you've got Jeremy Monga, Jeremy Doku. You've got Savinho at the moment, but Savinho. You got Antoine Semenyo. You got Claudio Echeverri. So you've got players that are better than them or could be better than them in the future, and that's what you need to be looking at instead of players that have done it in the past but may now be a bit too old or getting to the point where they can't do what they managed to do before back in 22, 23, 21, 22. And it's something that you need to look at. Do you want to make a step backwards and then bring in a player who just isn't that good? Or do you want to take a step forwards and make sure that going forwards in the future, everything's going to be fine with certain players and you don't stunt their development instead of looking at it and going, oh, let's keep Jack Grealish for a year or two. The only thing the only reason why I think that could be reasonable is if you get rid of an Echeverry, you get rid of a Savino, you stick Doku on the right or something, which will limit him, and then you stick Jack on the left, and you keep Jack because Rodri leaves or someone else with experience leaves, like Ruben Dias. That's the only reason why I can see that. You know, I just wanted to come on to the Rodri and Ruben Dias thing as well. Rodri and Ruben, if you're staying at the football club, come out and just say, just a minute, a post, just say that you're staying at Manchester City and stop the rumours. I can see Ruben doing it, but I can't see Rodri doing it. I honestly think his head is in Madrid. He wants to leave. He may not leave this season, but he's still wanting to leave and go back to his hometown, um, which is fair enough, you know. But I feel if they're going to get him for 50 million, then it's an absolute joke at what Real Madrid are doing. But, you know, it's just one of them that you sort of look at and you go, Rodri and Ruben. Ruben brings leadership. Rodri brings leadership. If they leave, then who's the leadership? Do you go with a Phil whose head mentally wasn't right last year? Do you go with Josko Vardiol, who's a really, really good player? He's quite young, but he's one for the future. But also, you can look at it and go, Josko's been here before, been in title races. Although he's young, mentally he's stronger than some of the other players like Mark Gahey, who haven't managed to succeed when being in a title race because they mentally fall off a little because of the pressure that's being put on them. Gahey should be part of the leadership squad, but I don't think he's ready to take us to the next place. Haaland, I'd look at giving him captain, but the only downside of it is maybe he'll get to the point where it'll actually make him worse a little bit. I hope it doesn't. I hope it actually boosts him even more and we can get a brilliant Erling Haaland throughout the whole year, which is difficult because of the amount of work rate that he puts into the game, especially now that he's sort of dropping back, linking up passes, going on the wing. But it's just one of them that you look at. And if we do get rid of load of experience with Ruben Dias and Rodri, what does that mean for the rest of the squad? And will that actually make us suffer in the long run? Because there'll be loads of 18, 19, 20-year olds, even some that are older, that just haven't had that experience yet. You look at the likes of bringing Elliot Anderson in. Anderson's never been in a title race. What he's won, he has won. Has he won? He's probably won like no, scratch that. He got to the semi-final last season, didn't win it. Um, but yeah, it's just one of them where you look at he's a good player, but mentally, leadership side, can he do it, or is he going to suffer a little? But yeah, there you go. That's just what I wanted to talk about because there was loads of news that popped up. Um, but yeah, cheers for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and it was a great show.